All right, welcome everybody. My name is Richard Wilson. I'm the founder of the Family Office Club. We started this investor club 18 years ago in 2007. We have somewhere around 7,500 investors registered in the club. Out of that, we have around 1,000 to 1,500 actively engaged kind of deca millionaires, centimillionaire, billionaire types who come to our events regularly, speak on stage, etc. So if you're a member with us for 18 months or a couple of years, you'll probably interact with around 1,000 very high-end investors as part of our club. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank Tamir and Tom from Pace University having us here in the facilities. Really appreciate it. Awesome facilities here. And we're looking forward to doing our May New York City Investor Summit here on the Pace campus as well. It'll be a different room than this, obviously, with a bigger size event template, but we're excited to have that. You'll see the dates go up on familyoffices.com probably by Friday this week, tomorrow, or Monday on that event coming up in May right here in the city. So I hope we'll see you there, if not at our March Investor Summit in Beverly Hills or our April masterminds, which we're hosting in 3 or 4 different cities. You should see one of these handouts on the table in front of you. The most important page in this for yourself here is on page number 7. You'll see a worksheet. And I think that a lot of us go to events, and even if they keep your interest the whole day, the real impact is what you do when you leave the event, what you do differently, what you took away that's really concrete. And so page 7 and 8 are for note-taking. We're going to have many different speakers up here on stage today. One of our speakers manages over $1 billion for his real estate platform, and they raised over $300 million just last year. We have another speaker who was the lead person who built out the Amazon Alexa team and has dozens of patents to his name. He's going to talk about an area of AI that I'm very unfamiliar with that can help keep your data secure and analyze it in a different way than most of you probably are doing right now. We also have a couple of other speakers, such as Dean, who is responsible for raising about $50 million a month for his clients. He's raised over $2 billion. For one client, he's helped them raise $750 million. He's going to talk about what he's doing with AI, how he is using AI right now in real time. And we're also going to have Michael on stage, who went from being a wealth advisor to then raising capital for the first time, acquired a company, and in 3.5 years grew it to a $100 million exit. So this event is exciting. It couldn't be more timely. We planned it out months ago and decided to do it in Q1 because selfishly we wanted to make sure our team was on top of AI trends. About a week ago, DeepSeek came out claiming this, that, the other thing. Some things, been confirmed. In other ways, it fails some tests against others. And about 48 hours ago, Alibaba announced that they have their, Quinn 2.5 AI model that supposedly is better than everybody else's. And I think you'll see in a few minutes, it's really about what models are best for what, not that one is better than all the others at any one thing. So we'll be talking about that and many other things today. We did this mastermind in Fort Lauderdale. We had probably 50 questions during the day. Everyone walked away with a lot of practical insights and strategies. And I thought it was one of our best masterminds yet in terms of just practical takeaways and just like super timely of a topic. So we're glad to have you here today. Our team has developed 3 free due diligence and investment and business strategy AI tools for you. They're specialized tools that should be helpful to any founder and investor. And if you are a member with us or an investor registered with us, you get these for free. It's not an upsell. It's just something that we've developed that helps us. I think it's going to really help you as well. We're going to talk about tools today that can help your team do 3 times as many phone calls per day, create 4 times as much video content. Bezos says one of the most important things is to be decisive and to move quickly. And we interviewed someone from Shark Tank. Kevin Harrington was on the first 2 seasons of Shark Tank. He created the As Seen on TV brand, and he's spoken on stage at our events many times. And we did our fireside chat with him at our Beverly Hills Summit last year. He said that he looks for high velocity entrepreneurs. And it's the same thing that Bezos was saying, is that even at millions of employees, you have to make decisions quickly. And we're going to show today how you can use AI to make decisions faster with greater confidence and conviction. and just make more well-rounded decisions that are sound and based off of fact without blindly relying upon AI. And I think that combination is really important. So I hope by the end of the day, a lot of this worksheet is completed. And if not, during your Uber or subway or train or airplane ride home, I hope you can flush it out a little bit and come away with 3 to 5 tools that are really going to move the needle for what you and your team are really looking to build out. So appreciate everyone being here. So this picture of my wife and I like doing adventure travel, just a little bit on personal interests. It's us in the Grand Canyon. The other one is Machu Picchu, obviously, Everest Base Camp, West Coast Trail. There's 30-story tall ladders and 150 bridges and ladders up and down the sea cliffs up in Vancouver area in Canada. Done some mountain summits with my friends. And then this is where I live in Hawaii. This is Lanikai Beach, just connected to Kailua Beach, where we're based out of. It's my 3 daughters. And this is our family last week at the beach. All right. So one thing I think it's important to start out with almost all of our events is that the people who do really well in any investor club, I think are respected by others as being kind of class act human beings. People want to do business with others they can trust, who show up. There was a comment the other day from someone in another investor club with me, and they said that, I think it was from Mark actually, who's here today, that it used to be when people said they would do something, 80% of the time they did it, and 20% of the time it didn't happen. He said, like nowadays, 80% of the time when someone says they're going to do something, it really doesn't happen. And you're kind of surprised when people actually do what they said they were going to do in some cases. And so I think the more that you can be adding value first, the more that things go well, listening to others, et cetera. And the people who come with a very short deadline, they're under a lot of pressure to raise $1 million this month. And if it doesn't get done at this event, then high stress happens. Other people can feel and sense that. And if it's too high pressure, they really don't want much to do with it. And people who are new to an investor club, I find often think that if you put a high IRR or show them that this could make them more money than any other deal they've ever seen, that's going to be the thing that convinces someone to invest, when it's usually really trust in the team, understanding how you add value, comfortability with who the person is. I think that matters way more. We've heard on stage at our events that who refers you to the deal and where you met that person matters more than the details of the deal. And it's been scientifically proven that the relationship with somebody influences a sale more than the merits of the thing you're trying to sell. So there are some things to keep in mind when it comes to investor clubs. All right, so just as for sort of a AI 101, we're not going to spend much time on this because most of you understand everything that's on this page. Some of the biggest tools out there, large language models, AI tools would be like Claude, Perplexity, Grok from Elon, as well as ChatGPT, of course. GPT is probably used the most by people in the room. I already mentioned DeepSeek as well. What I found is that some tools are just specialized more than others, right? And so Sora is part of GPT and does more with images. Perplexity is more referencing things on the web. It will give you web references and is better for uses where that's most important. And so those are just some things to keep in mind. We're going to compare these to other layers of AI technologies that are out there in a couple of minutes, but just a couple of quick examples. We did a real estate inspection report on a waterfront property in Hawaii, and the inspection professional said, here is a summary of the report. But when we asked AI to point out what may cost the most and what we should pay attention to that wasn't mentioned in the summary, it pointed out some great things by instantly analyzing this 89 pages of a real estate inspection. So you don't want to blindly rely upon the inspection professional or AI, but it's helpful to instantly get that type of feedback, right? Every person who spoke at the event today, we got their bio, why they're a credible speaker, why I invited them to speak, and then what they want to speak on. They fed that into GPT, and it told us some possible speaking topics. And then we looked at those 7, chose the best 2, asked us to give us 7 more ideas like those best 2. And then we asked the speaker, such as Ed, to say, hey, are you okay with this speaking topic? And he's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. And those are the speaking topics that you find on the agenda for today. The video on our familyoffices.com/AI page, that video is not a video that I recorded. I wrote out the text, put it into HeyGen, and then HeyGen got a video avatar of me to say those words and make it look like it was me. And in the last sentence of the video, I say, oh, by the way, I didn't record this video. It was AI making this fake video, basically. Just as a couple quick examples of how to use some of these tools. Comparing data sets is another way. Another way is I was looking for how do I reduce cortisol and increase testosterone with only natural organic supplement powders, and asking AI what activities kill testosterone, what activities boost it, what foods naturally boost it, what foods kill it, what natural supplements could I put into a shake because I don't like taking 30 pills a day, et cetera, and having conversations around health, et cetera. It's just another really basic way. And most of you are probably already using it this way, which is why we're not going to spend much time on that today. I find there's really three like layers of AI tool sophistication out there. We just covered type 1 LLMs, large language models. That'd be the first level. That's where most people are at. I saw a statistic saying that 50% of businesses are either planning or currently using AI in their business. I would guess that most people are here in the room. If you're showing up to a mastermind on AI, you're probably already using it on a base level. The second level is pre-built specialized AI tools, something like HeyGen that can create a video, something like Dewey, the due diligence analyst tool that we've put together for you for free, or a chat bot for your website, et cetera. These tools are sold sometimes at a premium to what an LLM might sell for, but they're usually leveraging the LLMs to operate on. They're built off of them. And you can build your own, and we'll show you how to do that at the end of the day today. The third one is really for people that maybe have a technical background, or they do not mind rolling up their sleeves, or they want to hire a third party to manage their custom build out of a AI process that has several layers of automations and steps to it. That's like using something like Gumroad or N8N, using something like Relevance or Make AI you might have heard of. And that is taking a whole process of step one, search the web for any press releases on someone selling their company. Step two, find their contact details by referencing Apollo or Zoom Info or whatever it is. Step three, use a CRM, send an email out to them, customized with this and this, and have a whole process using multiple AI systems. I think that probably most people out there, if you want to be in the top 5% in your space, using some of the pre-built specialized tools, building a couple of your own tools, and we'll show you how to today, is going to put you in the top 5 or 10% right now, because a lot of people haven't gotten to that layer, and almost nobody, percentage-wise, is going to be building out their own AI workflows, kind of like a marketing automation workflow, until they make it more simple. So that's just how I see the AI world in terms of 3 layers of complexity. But hopefully we'll show you some tools today where you could go out and hire someone to do this and at least know that these tools exist, and that you could take a custom workflow of your own and build it out step by step, just like a marketing automation workflow, if you're familiar with that. We'll also go fast on this slide. I'm not going to read it all off to you, but there's 1,000 infographics out there on social media on how to, be a better prompt engineer, on asking the LLMs the right thing to get a better answer. I think the most important thing is to be very explicit and clear on what you want and don't want. Tell it what type of output you want. Tell it in what format, with bullet points, with a summary at the end, or act as my marketing advisor, act as my investment banker consultant on structuring this deal. If you can upload attachments and other things to give it even more context, that's better. And then usually when you get the result, if it's not what you were hoping for, then it can give you a clue of how you need to qualify that better. I saw something interesting the other day. They showed with over 100 prompts, if you offer to bribe the LLM or punish them for bad answers, that you actually get better answers. I don't know if that's true. I haven't tested it myself, but that sounded weird. Maybe worth sharing. So there's a lot of interesting things here that you would not expect. And if you're new to this or feel like you're really bad at it, there's something called Prompt Maker GPT. And it will take your prompt that's very simple and say, well, you might want to consider these other 7 parameters. And then once you do that once or twice, you'll kind of get it and probably have better prompts going forward. This is one of the most important slides of the day because the growth in this area is exponential. And Warren Buffett says that the human mind is really bad at understanding exponential changes. Recently, Tim Ferriss interviewed Chris Seca, who's a Silicon Valley centimillionaire, if not billionaire now. And Chris said that a lot of people are looking at AI and they're looking backwards, and you're here in the room because you're like, oh yeah, I just see this continual growth of AI. I better figure this stuff out and see how I should apply it. And Chris says the problem is that everyone's looking back because that's what you can see. It's tangible. But he said if you turn around the other way and you actually were able to look forward, it would be a wall right in front of your face that right now in real time, it's going straight up. And so that's how exponential, that's why exponential is hard to understand. In December, there were 56,000 AI startups out there. There are now over 70,000 AI startups. How many do we have time to test out? When I knew this mastermind was coming up, and I'm not the global expert on AI, I said to myself, like, well, I better test out another 150 or 200 tools. So I've got some cool stuff to show at the mastermind, but nobody has time to test 1,000 AI tools, even though that's your full-time job. So we're really trying to narrow down what AI tools are good for founders and investors to use. How do you think about using AI, and the specific use cases for you might be different than the person sitting next to you. That's why we have diverse speakers on stage, and we're going to talk about how to think about getting AI to really move the needle for you. It took the internet 7 years to get to 100 million users. It took electricity 20 years to get to 100 million users. And it took ChatGPT just 60 days to get to 100 million users. People compare it, though, to impacting the world just as much as electricity and the internet. And yeah, some people might say that the internet was overhyped because all these internet bubble companies came and crashed, or when the railroads were expanding quickly, there were 180 railroad companies. Most of them ended up crashing, but it's not like the internet turned out to be overhyped. I mean, the internet's everywhere, right? So it's like something can be overhyped, and now 70,000 startups. How many of those are going to survive? Who knows, right? But the point is that AI, I don't think, is overhyped, even if some of the solutions are beta and not working super well. They say that the size of the AI market is going to go from 250 billion today to anywhere between 1 trillion, and I've heard 1.5 or 1.8 trillion by 2030. So that shows you how much larger the industry is going to be getting here in short order. So what I'm going to do to start out the day here is go through some of my software stack and kind of share what we're using. Some of these tools are not AI at all. They're just useful software tools. They go through this for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to have our first guest speaker, Ed, up here to the stage to come up and share his thoughts on an AI tool that he uses all the time. All right, so the first one we use is Zoom Phone. It's different than a Zoom session. My team literally dials through their Zoom phone, and they can easily transfer to a Zoom session via video if they want to. Every call is transcribed. The default message, if you want to record and transcribe every call, you have to notify the person on the other line. And the default message from Zoom is, we're about to record this phone call. If you do not like it, then hang up and let us know, et cetera. And it's like a full paragraph almost sounding. We don't want that because it's annoyance at the beginning of the call and it's friction. So we just say call recorded. And that way they're notified the call is being recorded. And you have to custom record that text with the voice within the Zoom system. In case you're using it, I'd recommend doing that. We use Slack, like most of you. Teams or Slack. We do heavy audio message use, which I'll get to in a few minutes. We use Wova for virtual membership networking during our events. I found this to be great, way better than people chatting in a Zoom chat, and it gets lost. You can set up meetups in the morning. We had meetups on self-storage. We had meetups on, Paul Hutchinson spoke at our last investor summit. We had 745 people at that event, 125 speakers on stage. And Paul Hutchinson created the documentary Sound of Freedom that did a couple $100 million. And he's saved over 5,000 children from human slavery. And he had a meetup one morning, for example, using Whova. So it just helps create connections, help you track an agenda, who's on stage, and helps people follow along on a live stream. Grammarly we use. If you don't use this right now, I'd highly encourage you to do so. Most people don't have perfect grammar, especially when you're moving quickly. We use this, but we also take an email we're about to send out and we'll bounce it off of GPT and say, bullet point out the grammar mistakes. And a lot of us have to move quick sometimes, and you're trying to get a newsletter out the door or an email blast, and you'll be missing a word in a sentence or something that makes you look bad. So using Grammarly plus checking it against what GPT says, we found to be super helpful. We use Hubstaff for virtual team management. We used this for a decade before COVID hit, so it was really helpful when COVID came. It takes random screenshots when your team starts working, and then when they're done working, then it stops taking the screenshots. it's very helpful. Once we had someone who was underperforming, so we looked into the screenshots and found they were starting a marketing agency on the side, but during business hours. We had another person who we caught embezzling money, paying their rent through our company's PayPal account, and it took screenshots of them paying their rent with company money. So it's a little bit of an embedded IQ test too, because they knew we were recording their screen, like they turned it on at the start of the day, right? But we also dodged a bullet for one person we were going to hire virtually, very experienced investor relations person. And they said, oh, well, they'll be working virtually, but what's this Hubstaff software that seems like so big brother? We're like, oh, it's just making sure that like when we're paying people to work that they're pretty much mostly working and keeping it reasonable. And they said, oh, that's so intrusive. Like, oh, that's so weird. You don't trust me? And I was like, oh, we just, if you're actually working, then there's no downside or not spying on you otherwise. And so we like to have people that want to virtually not work for other people in our industry, not for us. So we like using the software for that purpose too. Email meter is what we use to gauge email statistics and KPIs, because we work off of Google Suite, Gmail, et cetera. And so this tells us our response times across our whole team to our clients and a whole bunch of different things, analytics wise, on email usage. LastPass is what we use for our password locker. Many password locker companies have been hacked at one point. I think LastPass was hacked a couple of years ago. I think every government agency has been hacked at this point at least once too. So it might not be the most secure one on planet Earth, but we've never had a problem with it. And I had 27 pages of a Word document of passwords before I used something like this. So I think somebody at the mastermind on Tuesday said they use Dashlane, but there's 100 of them out there to consider. Calendly, just for scheduling calls. Metric, if you use WooCommerce, any of your businesses, it helps you chop the data up and look at lifetime customer value. Who's your most frequent customers? Who's your longest customer? Where the customers came from, et cetera. It's good analytics to have if you're, especially an e-commerce related business on Stripe or WooCommerce. We've got a couple minutes to go through a couple more things here. So these are things now that I think will boost your sales. A lot of you here in the room have operating businesses as an investor, or you're investing in companies and your goal is to boost their revenue and help grow them over time. So these are going to be ones that can move the needle in that area. And to set the stage for this, one thing that's interesting about AI is that the more advanced tech gets, the more important non-tech things become, I believe, over time. So Robert Cialdini is the godfather of influence and persuasion. He wrote the book Influence, and he's one of the most quoted psychologists ever, probably the most quoted psychologist ever in the world of business or communications. And he showed that scientifically proven that if you're in a room with somebody, you're 16 times as likely to close a transaction. And that's for selling a Rolex watch or a vacuum or anything. On average, you're 16 times more likely to close that sale. But that was for all types of sales. Imagine it's not just buying a Rolex or a vacuum. Imagine you're buying a house or choosing a spouse or investing $1 million. Probably want to meet that person in person. Probably want to walk through that house once. I had a best friend who bought a house without his wife seeing it. That didn't end well. So you want to be, for important decisions, you got to know in your gut, it's way more than 16 times more effective to make that sale in person, right? But also in the world of AI deepfakes, where you literally can't believe anything your eyes see on a video screen, and Trump and Harris are skipping down the beach together to a love song, you can't believe a due diligence thing. You can't believe an IRR number. You can't believe that someone's team is really even on their team. Everything could be faked. And investors know this. And the more AI grows, the more you can't believe anything you don't see in person. You need to walk the manufacturing floor, see the person face to face, see how they are in person. And so I think that one thing that's not going away and is going to be very AI resilient is meeting in person with investors to close transactions and get people comfortable with who you are as a person. It's not about what your piece of paper says. Anyone can say 80% IRR, we're going to get you 10x your money at no risk in 4 months, right? Like anyone can say that and it means nothing. You say something that extreme, it means that no one wants to talk to you because it's not real. But I think that's one of the most important points you can make about all this AI stuff today. It's like you want to use it, but it's not like it replaces meeting in person and developing real relationships. So how do you use technology to be more effective, more efficient, make better use of your time, and be more decisive? One way is to use Fireflies. Many people have heard of Otter.ai, another excellent option. Fireflies is like Otter.ai has a bigger database. They've transcribed more things than anyone, I believe, at this point, probably. But with Fireflies, it's really built for sales teams and sales organizations. It will tell you sentiment analysis. Was it positive or negative? I can look at 800 calls done on my team and see that people that talk to Jimmy are more positive and people that talk to John are more negative, or vice versa. I can see how many filler words people are using, who has the most long monologues when they're on a phone call with someone and they're talking for 8 minutes at a time without asking any questions, who asks the most number of questions, who asked the least, what keywords were used, or look at who's selling the best and what do their analytics look like. So really interesting data comes from this. And that's why we call and transcribe each thing. And then Fireflies plugs into Zoom and looks at all of it. Importantly, whenever we end a phone call, Google Calendar will have people on the invite, and Fireflies will email them a transcript and a summary of the call. So if you end your call with, well, based on everything you said today, Sarah, I think this would be the natural step, and you should probably get involved with us on this level or that level. Do you agree? And then have kind of a summary of the call verbally talked about. And then in the transcript summary, it'll be very clear, like an automated follow-up almost is sent out to them on what the next step would be. And they could share that with a business partner who missed the call because they were sick or traveling that day. And it just adds to another touch point of context on moving the sale forward. We use ActiveCampaign for our CRM. We used to use HubSpot. We started with them, and I think it was like $12,000 or $14,000 a year. And then it grew to be $55,000, $60,000 a year. And we said, okay, that's borderline crazy. So we're going to, ActiveCampaign does everything in our experience for what we needed that HubSpot did. The only thing that's negative is that in the world of the CRM, mafia world, all the AI companies only auto API plug into Salesforce and HubSpot. So you have to use like a Zapier or some API for many of the AI tools. I think that'll change over time, and they'll plug into 5 different CRMs, and hopefully this is one of them. But that's the only downside so far we've found with ActiveCampaign. A couple of things we do in there. We look at engagement scoring. If you open an email, click on an email, reply, you get different levels of points assigned to you. And then we know who's most engaged, who's active. And if they have a really high score, we should be following up with that person before someone in our CRM that has no score at all because they never open anything we send them, right? We also have a sales segment for phone calls for our entire team, so that when Andres goes into our CRM, he looks at his sales segment and he'll be able to see anyone who opened an email in the last 2 days, because that doesn't mean too much, or anyone that clicked on an email in the last 7 days, because that means more. So we're okay if that was more days away. You might remember clicking on something, or if you replied to an email in the last 10 days. And then that's his phone call list of 400 or 800 people, is to reach out to people who are actively engaged right now, not just engaged at any point in the past. We also have alerts set up. If somebody visits a certain page of our website, then our team gets an alert, and the salesperson for that division will get an alert. Hey, someone's on the sponsor page, and it's this person, and they've been a member for 9 months, and now they're looking at maybe sponsoring. Maybe give that person a ring while they're on that page of your website in real time. And then one thing that's a nuance, but maybe helpful to some of you with a sales team, is we put a first name tag in the system for each of our sales professionals. So when emails go out, we used to do 1 email blast. Now we do 5 email blasts, 1 from each sales professional, so that people on our CRM are in general consistently hearing from the same person on our team, so they can really build a relationship with them over time, versus if you have 3, 5, 10 salespeople and they're always talking to someone different, kind of breaks the rapport a little bit more, makes the follow-up a bit harder. Any questions on ActiveCampaign or Fireflies? No? Okay. I've got some more sales tools I'm going to be sharing with you later. I'm going to share the due diligence tools that we have built out and are going to be providing to you for free. At the end of the day, I'm also going to be showing you how you can build your own custom AI tool for your team that moves the needle on something that may be slowing your team down.
If you are a founder, raising capital, developing real estate, or you're an investor, would love for you to get involved in the Family Office Club. I've run this community for 18 years now. We've hosted 300 live events. We have 17 million social media group members and followers. We have the #1 YouTube channel on family offices. We have the #1 most popular podcast on family offices. You can learn more about us and our membership options at familyoffices.com. We have 30 in-person events planned in 2026 and another dozen events this year. Please go to familyoffices.com to learn more.